Hey, welcome back everyone. So today we're going to be going through Exanima, my second attempt going through it. I know last time was pretty rough. I had no idea how to do the combat, and I'm going to show you everything I've done since then and where I've gotten to. So right here I started a new guy. I forgot to put on clothes because I died so many times. I was like, they don't do anything. Well, I later learned that clothes actually have some inherent stats to them, so I should have been wearing them this entire time. But I'll show you what happened, the process as I learned, and I'll voice over, the key points. So right here, I made the mistake of rushing into the room at full speed and just slamming right into this lady. And as you can see, if you do that, they get mad. They're usually pretty passive, I found, but if you run into them or initiate combat, that's when they get mad. And so I learned here that combat is difficult, because at this point I was still struggling a lot, especially in tight spaces. So you can see she gets my health almost all the way down, and it's not a very good start until I get one kill. So a little bit later, I figured out how to use our ability, which is to see how they feel towards us. So if their brain is looking blue, it means they're calm, yellow is annoyed, and red is hostile. And so you saw this lady was yellow and prompted her to attack me because I did not move out of the way soon enough. And as you can see here, combat is not going well. Again, pretty tight space, so I just keep hitting the walls. She defeats me, and the issue is that once you wake back up, she's still right there. So I get punished immediately before I can even respond, and it's pretty unfair, but I guess that's just the way this game goes. Right here, I have almost 0 health left, and right when I wake up, look at this. Boom. Done. Game over. Here we have me starting over one of the numerous times I've done it, and I became pretty familiar with this. I started running through it pretty fast. I knew which doors I needed to go to because the layout doesn't change, which is very helpful. But I'm becoming pretty comfortable with the controls here, and you'll see, combat wise, I'm not, but movement wise, I'm getting the hang of things. Now, in order to open doors, you have to be looking at the door from your camera perspective, not your guy's perspective, which I thought was correct, but it's based off of the camera itself. Anyways, I just kept exploring the area that I've been running around this entire time now. Haven't found anything new until I stumbled across this room, and I came in here in the first video, but I didn't realize there's a compass on the wall right here. And so when we pick it up in the bottom left corner, it adds a compass to our heads up display. So I don't know if it's going to be useful or not, but it's definitely cool that you can find things to modify, how you interact with the game. Knowing what direction you're going might be pretty important later on, I'm not sure. So at some point I died, and now on this new guy, I always run to the blacksmith room right here to find a weapon. And as you see here, I found the sledgehammer, and I knew I could pick it up from previous times, but I was able to click on it. For some reason I was having trouble here until I put it in my inventory. I couldn't actually see what it was. But this started changing the game for me. This was the weapon to use, and this is the one I've been training with ever since to actually start making progress in this game. At this point, I still didn't know you could search boxes and people have defeated, so I don't do that, and I didn't learn that until very towards the end of when I stopped playing for this session. But you're going to see a lot of progress happening now that I have this sledgehammer and I start practicing with it. Here you'll see me being a lot more picky about which fights I start taking. I had read in the manual that you ideally don't want to fight anyone until you have armor. At this point I realized that I probably should get some armor since I'm not even wearing clothes. So I started closing doors on the guys because I realized they can't actually open them. They can only push them if they're already like cracked open. So I decided to lock him in that room until I was ready to fight him. Here we have just a few seconds later. I switched to a sledgehammer. I made sure we're in a light here to fight. And this is where we start practicing with it. It's a nice open area, so I have quite a bit of room to swing this thing around. I don't hit the walls as much, but I'm definitely not as comfortable with it as I could be. Now, I have no idea what I did here, but somehow I aggravated one and then the other one came running over. I don't know if they hear each other and so they start trying to help each other. I have no idea, but trying to fight two at once was nearly impossible. I have my torch out because it's impossible to see who's running around the camera. So you just see here, I just closed the door on them because I said I'm not going to take that fight. I can hear that they sound like they're fighting each other around the door. So once it's calmed down, I open it again, and it was right. So I don't know if it's like Minecraft where they hit each other, like a skeleton shoots another skeleton and start fighting each other or what, but definitely helpful when I have trouble taking them down myself. Just for some context here, I want you guys to realize that I died a lot trying to make it far as I did. So here's a little compilation of all times I just got wrecked. So at this point, I realized that despite me constantly dying, my guy was still getting experience in his skills here. So I started paying more attention to that, and this run became one of my best ones. So I just start running through, I go straight to the blacksmith in order to get my weapon, and I know the layout pretty well at this point. So I was exploring and I ended up finding this guy. All he would say to me is hello. I was trying to look in the menu to see if there's a way I could talk to him, and that's when I found how you can loot things and interact with your environment, like clicking keys and all that. Unfortunately, I hadn't seen King X's comment at that point because he explained everything in great detail, but I was starting to figure out on my own. His comment just kind of helped solidify everything I learned at that point. I've been taking the papers and things I've been finding. I don't know if it's just for backstory or if they serve a purpose, but I figured it doesn't hurt to have them. It seems like our inventory can carry quite a bit of stuff. Everything can overlap, so I figured why not. So at this point, I had found this guy's body here, and I was still a noob here. I didn't know you could loot people at this point, and I completely missed a key that is sitting on his desk. I think on this run I ended up dying, and then that leads us to this next part. If I do come in, and at this point I knew you could loot people. As you see, I'm wearing clothes at this point, not because I put them on, but because I looted them from someone. And this is where I loot his body, find his note, and the key. Here you can see me bait this guy out. He was aggressive towards me. I had to run away so I could pull out my sledgehammer, and then I bait him into the light so we can fight. And this is where I'm actually kind of okay with sledgehammer. I take a little bit of damage, but I also managed to take him down pretty quickly. So the key unlocks the two doors at the beginning of the dungeon that are locked when we first try to open them, and they lead to this loot room, or I guess they lead to a big area, but this loot room is part of it. So here I'm just browsing through all the armor and weapons, just trying to upgrade my gear best I can by looking at the stats and comparing to what I have. I also grab some miscellaneous things, don't know if they're going to be useful later. This next batch of progress happened really fast for me, so I'm not exactly sure what order it happened in, but I found this room, and at this point I knew how to loot things, so I found this helmet inside this box, and here there's a guy waiting outside the door, so I used my new armor and I switched to my sledgehammer to bait them into the room. That way I can fight them in the light in a pretty open area and make some progress. So here's me just what I do after I leave the helmet room. Just exploring, basically. Trying to avoid these guys just so I don't make them mad. I come across this chamber with a lever that I guess shoots flames, and so I figured might as well just roast this guy, free loot. Here you see me running through the chamber here, trying to play with all the levers, trying to open that locked door on the other side. At this point, I thought it was some kind of puzzle. I thought, there's so many levers here, they had to do something. But it turns out there is an opening that goes into a cave, and I just completely missed it the first time. But at the end here, I find it, and I go through it. And I thought that was the end of the level. I thought I escaped the dungeon like the scroll starts your inventory had said. But turns out there is quite a bit more after that. This next section here is just me exploring the cave. I found this part pretty difficult. The cave is really dark and the paths aren't well defined. Like there's a point right here where I thought I wasn't sure if I could fall off the edge or not, but with the ragdoll physics in this game, I wasn't going to put it past it. So I was just exploring the cave. I thought, this is the exit, this is the end. But eventually I end up back in the dungeon, I think past that locked door. I'm not exactly sure where I am. I probably should be using my compass, but I haven't been, and I'm pretty lost. This next part I just fast forwarded through. It's just me exploring, fighting, looting some guys. End up getting knocked down, but it's not the end of the world. We're not dead, which is a good thing because I don't even know if I've hit a checkpoint yet. I've been looking at my skills to try to make sure that I stay on top of them and level them up as they're complete. I see the flashing plus sign next to the mana bar. I don't know if that means I get a new magic skill or not. If you guys know, let me know down in the comments. This is the last clip I have. I walked into this big room thinking it's going to be some kind of boss fight, which got me really excited because I thought, finally, the end. But I actually just end up walking through this gate here, and it just seems like there's more dungeon. I end up going down a pair of stairs, which is where I decided to stop for the day because I've been playing for a while, and it just felt like it was dragging on forever without having any idea of what I was doing. So that's all the progress I made in this playthrough. If you guys like the style where I have the clips and talk over the highlights, that way it saves time. I can get it shortened down to a quick expedited video instead of you having to watch a 30-minute video with a lot of boring stuff in there. Let me know if you like it. Otherwise, I can go back to just watching me play organically. Either way, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching. Bye.